Charles-Edouard, thank you very much to be here with us today at AI for Finance. You're the CEO of Roland Berger. You travel all around the world to spread AI in all the companies. Usually you go to China, to United States, all around Europe. Maybe we could start with this first question. When we say artificial intelligence into companies, what can you say comparing China, USA, and Europe?
I think the first thing is we see an acceleration. I just came from China last week. I was in the US before. We see an acceleration of the implementation of artificial intelligence across the world. But when we talk about artificial intelligence, it's a very broad word. So I would separate the deep tech from the low tech or machine learning implementation. On the deep tech side, we have a race which is taking place between the US and China. And on some dimension, China is winning the race. If you think about a company like SenseTime, maybe you know it. This company, if you look at their IP, they are producing the best IP in the world on machine vision. And it's already a $1 billion company as we speak, and $2 billion next year. So that's the first thing. On the deep tech side, we also see the separation between US and China. The trade war is having a huge impact on both sides. People are afraid in China to go into the US. People in the US are afraid of sharing with China. And that's also slowing the development of technology. And for us as Europeans, the challenge is where we position ourselves with our American friends. Do we trade with China? And that has a lot of implication on how we're going to develop our companies.
Okay. And well, so if we go deep into the subject, how can we develop the AI at scale? How can we reduce the gap between the available technologies in AI and the effective use of these technologies in the real world, actually, and here, the banks?
I think one of the challenges we're facing, and especially in banking, but in every industry, is you have companies, the GAFA, Google, Apple, Facebook, and Amazon, but also the NATU, the Netflix, and Airbnb, and Tesla, and Uber, who are, and also the Chinese, using at scale machine learning, basic one, to improve the production capabilities, the targeting of clients. And on the other side, we have traditional companies who don't know where to start. They do a POC, proof of concept, and they don't know how to scale. They get into ethics problems, they get into supplier problems. And the biggest challenge is a lot of the startups are trying to disrupt vertically, providing a solution to a problem. But when you're a client, you want to integrate a solution. And that's what we are seeing today. A lot of initiatives, or AT at Société Générale, and many more in other companies. But AI at scale is very difficult, and it's even more difficult, we see it, for mid-sized companies. Because mid-sized companies cannot afford an expensive data scientist team. They cannot afford a machine learning specialist at $1, $2, $3, or $5 million a piece. And that's one of the big constraints.
So finally, when we talk about big companies, it's 100,000 people in the world. And when you have to go from the POC, the POC, to the proof of concept, to the large at-scale solutions, it's complicated, and that's one of the main challenges.
Yes, and the first challenge we've been seeing with clients is the data. So I know that everyone is saying data is the new oil and so on. But I think some of the problem we see is the way the data is being rendered, the way it's being structured. Just to give an example, Uber, I was with some team at a small but interesting firm called Connexus in the US. Uber has a huge problem to use the data that we are producing. And they were using Apache, they were using the Graph database, and it didn't work. And so they had to develop a new technology to look at the data and use it. So I think what we're going to see is a lot of work being done on data rendering, preparing simple data. I was also visiting a company in New York which is doing called few-shot learning. I mean, I don't know if you know what few-shot learning is. It's basically helping the machine to learn with only a few data. And then they're producing new data from this data to help the machine to learn. To give you an example, imagine that you're launching a new can, and you want to be able to track it in all the social media, you want to track it everywhere. The problem is you don't have pictures of this new can because it's not been deployed. So what they're doing is they're taking pictures of the can and they're putting it into a video game, and then the computer doesn't make the difference between the video game and the reality when it comes to a beach, a bar, people. and that allows the machine to learn very fast and be able to track your product all over the world with a few shot learning. So that's the thing that's happening. So a lot of technological changes in the US and in China.
And so, finally, when we talk about and we do a focus on the financial industries, what are the perspectives, or what is the point according to you, from your perspective?
The financial industry has been the first one to use mathematics at scale in trading rooms. You know, in the 80s, this is why they had the quant specialist to look at data and to make better trade. Financial industry is about managing data, in a sense. Money is a form of data. And all along the chain, from the production, from the credit scoring, from the client acquisition up to the fraud, there's a lot of applications. So I think that we will see a lot of disruption in this industry, a lot of improvement. We see neobanks. One thing I didn't mention is we're all talking about artificial intelligence, but we are missing the point that it's now connecting into blockchain and cryptocurrencies. You cannot run a large, at-scale blockchain system without AI, because it's mind-boggling. You cannot, as you go into the quantum computing, they will also have an impact on the way we are managing. So I think that financial services is a great industry to start from, for the machine learning, step by step, and we see a lot of new players coming up. So it's going to be a very interesting environment.
And so finally, if you should give your vision for the next 5 years, what would you say?
I would say 4 or 5 points. The first one is let's make sure we work on data authentication, because today there's a lot of data. People are building a machine learning system. We don't know sometimes where it's coming from. And you have, especially in the financial services industry, you have to authentify the data. So blockchain, AI, data authentication will be very important. The second dimension that was mentioned before is safety. Cyber security, but also the safety of where you're storing the data. That's why there are new players coming with algorithm farms who are not the Alibaba, they are not the Amazon, and they're bringing these services to the companies. I think you mentioned it is how we go AI at scale, how we help the medium-sized company to implement, because with the potential recession coming, 10 cents, 200 basis points will make a huge difference between the winners and the losers. And last but not least, and we see this a lot in California and a bit in China, is a lot of startups are dying because their valuations are too high. So the Sequoia of this world or the Alibaba are not financing the next round, and they're putting them in the cemetery. And there are a lot of interesting companies there that also needs to be protected. So we have to be careful on how we manage our startup to grow.
For the next 5 years. So the final word for this ecosystem of AI for finance, what do you want to say to the ecosystem?
Just do it.
Perfect.